Funding concerns ripple through the country. People behind the Santa Cruz Valley National Heritage Area are prepared for the worst. Thanks for joining us. I'm Valerie Cavazos. The area was designated by Congress in 2019 and signed into law during President Trump's first term. A 13 News reporter Renee Romo spoke with the nonprofit's executive director to hear what she had to say about their future.
The nonprofit's goal is to protect, preserve, and educate the public on the more than 12,000-year history that has thrived off the Santa Cruz River, and it all could be in jeopardy. If the Santa Cruz Valley National Heritage Area loses its federal funding, it could have devastating repercussions, not just impacting the nonprofit, but other nonprofits it supports. Leslie Kontowitz, the nonprofit's executive director, explained that the Santa Cruz River is their backbone, and with American Rivers listing it as one of the top 10 endangered rivers in the country, they do as much as they can to keep it clean.
We picked up, I just looked at this stat yesterday, more than 60 tons of trash in the past 12 months with partners and 700 volunteers.
Kontowitz says they get appropriations through Congress along with a 15-year-long work agreement with the Department of Interior managed through the National Park Service. When federal funding was briefly paused, Kontowitz says they immediately saw the impact and she was going to have to furlough her 3 employees, one of which she says has now resigned out of fear of her job being unstable.
But now we're kind of forced to have to compete with our partners to make sure that we have funding.
One of the main programs the nonprofit does is subgranting the $500,000 they get from the federal government to other nonprofits that support their management plan. Kontowitz expects to leverage it to $2.6 million of economic impact this year alone. But if their federal funding goes away, she says it would force them to go after the foundation and non-federal grants that their partners do. And unfortunately, District 2 Supervisor Matt Hines with the Pima County Board of Supervisors says they wouldn't be able to financially support those that lose their federal funding, as 11% of their own budget is federal funding.
Just throwing everything into chaos like this can disrupt and maybe even permanently affect in a negative way the mission that these organizations got the grant money to actually accomplish. And so it's pretty awful, and I hate to say that it could be malicious, but with the blatant, flagrant disregard for any process of any kind or any thought.
Hines added that he doesn't believe all funding will go away, but says that the board voted unanimously to get funding updates at every meeting to be sure to monitor the situation. At the Santa Cruz River Park, Renee Romo, 13 News.